then the coming Sundays will be Pat and Jimmy High talking about the stained glass windows. So there's a lot in this book about the stained glass windows and the physical structure of the church. So I do recommend you bring it with you if you don't have it, or if you need one, you can grab it up here. Before Lee comes to bless us with a song, if you'll just bow your heads and pray with me quickly this morning. Dear Lord, as always, we thank you for this time together, this time of fellowship and friends and snacks. Please be with all of us this week as we progress. Please be with everyone in the world and in this nation, those going through hard times. Please especially be with the families in Texas and the parents who are looking for their children. What a difficult thing for them to be going through right now. In your name we pray. Amen.
Good morning, everybody. I have never introduced myself at this thing because I know, but I'm Lee Walker. I'm part of the chancel choir, handbell director here at the church. The person they asked to lead the singing at Sunday school because they won't ask anybody else to do it, but I'm glad to do it. Before we sing, I do have an announcement. My wife has had some surgery lately, so that's why she's not here. And but she continues to come up with things for me to do here at church. So for her. Anyway, last year we had people bring in items for backpacks for back to school. Believe it or not, it's 3 weeks before school starts back. 3.5. Yeah. So school starts back. So this year we're going to do it a little differently. There's a sign-up sheet, and what you're going to do is just put your name. If you're interested in helping, you're going to put your name and provide your email address next to a child's name. Okay? You'll be responsible for providing the backpack and supplies for that person instead of bringing just swarms of stuff in. We had a ton of stuff. Last year we had a ton of stuff of this, and we didn't have any of this. So we ended up spending a couple $100 on notebooks that we needed. I made about 5 runs to Walmart to go find them, but which is okay. But we're going to make it a little easier, I think. So all you have to do is your name, email. I'll put this in the back. Name, email address. Debbie will get in contact with you, and they'll be turned in later at the end of the month, okay? Thank you for that. I appreciate your volunteering. All right, let's stand as you are able. Take a swallow of your coffee and wash down what food you're eating at the moment, because I don't need you choking as we sing. I am a nurse, but I'm off duty on Sundays, so I don't want to do any of that today. All right, we're going to sing When the Roll is Called Up Yonder. I think hopefully most of you, unless you're 25 or younger, you might not know it, but hopefully everybody knows it. All right, here we go, a cappella. When the trumpet of the Lord shall sound, and time shall be no more, and the glory morning breaks eternal, bright and fair. Come on, Michael, faster. On earth they'll gather over on the other shore, and the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. When the roll is called up yonder, 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 I'll be there. Next. On that bright and cloudless morning, when the dead in Christ shall rise, and the glory of his resurrection share, when his chosen one shall gather, oh, home beyond the skies, and the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. Thank you, that was good. When the roll is called up yonder, when the roll is called up yonder, we'll get it. When the roll is called up yonder, when the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. Third verse. Let us labor for the Master from the dawn till setting sun. Let us talk of all his wondrous love and care. Then all of life is over and our work on earth is done. When the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. When the roll is called up yonder, when the roll is called yonder, when the roll is called up yonder, when the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. Great, we got through it. Everybody have a seat. Thank you.
Hello, I've never done this much, so y'all bear with me. But my name is Mary Emmy Lewis, and they asked me when we started this history if I would tell something about my grandfather, who was named Green Sharp Johnston. There's his picture that Frank Fortune just fixed for me. I had a real dim picture, but Frank did a miracle job. So if you ever have a picture that's faded, just call him. He will do he'll do it for you. Make it really pretty. Let's see. He joined the Statesboro Methodist Church in the 1890s, and he served in a number of leadership roles. He was a trustee during many of the early years, and became church treasurer in 1897. He served on the Board of Stewards for 44 years, 35 of which he served as chairman. To make this talk a little more colorful, I'm going to talk about a party that the town was going to give for him. On July 11th, 1935, an article was written about him in the Savannah Morning News. And I've got a little picture of it. And it said that Green Johnston, known as Statesboro's first citizen, has read Savannah Morning News since 1867. So they had to tell about, something about the Savannah Morning News. In observance of his 75th birthday and his half-century as a practicing attorney in Statesboro, the Bullock County Bar Association will honor Colonel Green S. Johnston here Monday evening with a dinner. There were 100 people invited to this dinner. The dinner was to be on July 15th, 1935, at 8 o'clock. The price per plate was $1. Unfortunately, Colonel Johnston became ill several days before the party, and it never took place. And then eventually, a few months later, I think he had a stroke and passed away. So I've got some things I've got here. If you want to, I'll start them around if you want to see them. This is the article from the Savannah Morning News. This is the little invitation to the party. He lived on Savannah Avenue, and you all know the house. It's the White House. I'm sorry. It's the White House with columns on Savannah Avenue, near the park and the railroad track. And I'll pass around a picture of that. No one's in the house now, and I hope they won't tear the house down, because I think they've had 2 contracts recently, and both of them, it's not a contract anymore on the house. So I really hope they don't tear the house down, because I lived there for 5 years when I was a little girl. And then I have a letter he wrote to his daughter, my Aunt Bess Mitchell, who used to be a member of this church. And it said, "We're all well." He wrote a lot of letters. They always talked about the weather, because I guess there wasn't a whole lot to talk about. Have had some real cold weather. We have killed hogs, and they're making sausage and lard, etc. today. However, Mom, my grandmother named Emmy, she sticks to the conference, and that meant the church conference. He just called it the conference. She was very active in the church in this day too, and did many things. She has been going every day and night except one. Everyone seems to be enjoying it very much. It ends tonight, and I'm sending you my badge. I don't know what that was. Affectionately, Day. He called himself D.A. So they all referred to him as Day. So while I'm talking, if you want to see some of these pictures, pass them around. So I'll just tell you a little bit about him. He was born in Scriven County on July 14th, 1860. He was married twice. His first wife was Miss Annie Outland, and she passed away. And the second wife was Miss Emmy Lee of Thomaston. He came to Bullock County in 1882 when he was 21 years old. At first, he lived in Scriven County for a long time. Green attended the Eastman College at Poughkeepsie, New York, and then the University of Georgia Law School of Athens. He served the city of Statesboro as mayor for 5 successive terms and was also in the state senate in 1892 and 1893. Green introduced the first bill in the legislature for public schools. So we're very glad he did that. He was the father of 8 children. Another member of our church is related to him, Ann Johnston Williamson. Green's son, Jesse Johnson, had a son named Joe Johnston, which some of you know, remember. And his daughter, Ann Johnston Williamson, is Green's great-granddaughter. And his son, George Johnson, was my father. For 20 years, he was vice president of the Georgia, Florida, and Alabama Railroad and served for a time as president. He was also a trustee of Emory College. I think I've read this part, but I'm passing on that letter that he sent to my aunt, and somebody talked about that. And you know the house that he built, it used to be the law office of Edenfield Cox and Mark Bruce. And that's my talk today. So I hope you enjoyed it.
All right, I'll bring up Doug first, if that's okay. Okay, and I forgot just to mention, Hilda wanted me to just tell you all thank you for those that volunteered to pick up Panera Bread on Friday nights. She has all the volunteers she needs, so yay. But I guess in the future, just keep that in mind. That's a ministry opportunity if you're able to fit that in. But Doug, come on up and share your story. And then Mr. Bill, you'll come up next after Doug.
Good morning, everybody. If you don't know me, my name is Doug Hess. I am the son of Nancy and Steve Hess. Mom doesn't usually come anymore. She's shut in, but she does watch the service on stream, and Dad helps her with that. So they send their best regards this morning. Hope everybody had a good 4th, good family time. Can kind of introduce myself and where I came into the picture with this church. I'm a pretty new member. I've only been here about 3 years. I moved back from Statesboro about 4.5 years ago from Charleston, South Carolina. It's been about 12 years in Charleston. But kind of talk about my story, I'm going to open it up with a Bible verse that kind of where it led me. Just to give you kind of a background, I went to seminary at Luther Rice Seminary. That's a Baptist seminary out in Lithonia, Georgia. Somebody famous you might know got their doctorate there was Charles Stanley. So it's kind of the claim of fame for that seminary. But I got a Master's of Divinity and finished school there in 2014. I'm actually an ordained Baptist minister, but I attend a Methodist church now and a member here. So the song that we sang earlier, Lee, reminded me growing up in the Baptist church. That was one of the staples of our song service was The World Was Called Up Yonder. So it brought back some memories with that. But kind of got my start what we call resort ministry, and that's kind of what I do now. I work for the Boy Scouts as the district executive here, but I'm also the council chaplain. So this past summer, I just got back from summer camp. We had about 1,200 kids through the whole summer, and I do all the Sunday services there, so you haven't seen me around church. But to get my start, I would say in 2003, I graduated from high school, went to college, and spent one summer out in Yellowstone National Park out in Montana as doing something with the BCM, the Baptist Student Union, as a summer Christian innovator is what they called the program. And that's kind of where my call to ministry came from. I spent all summer out there until I went there in May and had my 21st birthday out there. And then, let's say about June, July, I said, you know what, I don't want to come home. So I took a semester off of college and spent a whole fall out there in Yellowstone. And one day I was hiking, and this verse came to my mind, and I was talking to our ministry leader out there about serving and ministry, and the verse came to mind, and a lot of people know it. Is John 17:18, and Jesus said, you sent me into the world. I'm here to send them into the world. And so it's us. God came here, Jesus came here to send us into the world to go out from the church. So as a ministry of this church, we're growing up disciples in the church to be an outreach into the community. You've heard Brother Mark say, you know, beyond these walls, we want to be an outreach. We want to grow our church in here, but we also want to grow the godly church out into the community. And that verse really hit me hard when I was out in Yellowstone. And that's where I got my start, what we call resort ministry. And just give you a little background on resort ministry. Resort ministry is a program or a ministry that you do in campgrounds. You do in resort locations. So Yellowstone was a perfect resort location. You know, a lot of people come out there to play and play hard. I went out there to pray hard for them. So, and that's what I did. And that's where my call to ministry came in, and decided to go to seminary. And then I was ordained for a church here, a local church. And there on out, I've had several different jobs. I worked in the medical field for about 13 years, was married in Charleston, have a daughter that's about to turn 10 this week. And then for a tough divorce, I came back here. My parents were getting older, so they needed some help. So in that resort ministry, it's taken me several different places in this country and in this war. I served in Smoky Mountain Resort Ministry, which is up in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, for 2 summers through college. I was the assistant chaplain. If you ever been to Dollywood or Dollywood Splash Country, I was actually assistant chaplain there for 2 summers. I worked with a chaplain there, so you know everybody came there to play, and I came there to worship and to help do services. So I would go into all the different campgrounds. There was one campground called there Jellystone, which is funny, but it was outside the park, and I would lead Sunday morning worship services there. At the current moment where my ministry has taken me, I'm in district executive for Boy Scouts of America, and I'm also their chaplain now for the council. So whenever we have campouts, whenever we have troop events, or we have council events in the state here, I'm usually there on Sunday, so you might not see me here. That's because I'm leading a worship service for youth out there. And this past summer, we had about 1,500 youth come through our camp, which was great. We had RTC students, we had Boy Scouts, we had Girl Scouts. We have several youth groups that use our camp, and I was able to help lead Sunday worship services there. So that's kind of my start, but it got my start in the church here. How did y'all support me with that? Y'all prayers. When I came back, I was pretty torn up from Charleston, and I was searching for a church home. I started doing some music ministry and work over at Friendship Baptist, helped them out with the cantata. And one Sunday afternoon, I came here to listen to I think Jackson's was playing something. It was a concert or something he was putting on. And Scott Hayden came up to me and said, hey, we love your voice. We'd love to have you sing in choir. And so I thought about it, and I said, well, my parents go here. They're members. And so I started coming, and I started joining the choir, and I became a member about 2.5 years ago when Brother Doug was here. So that's kind of my start, but I want to thank y'all for your prayers. How you can help with the ministry, just keep me in prayers. I'm always looking for opportunities. So if you ever go to a campground, see if they have a church service. There's a lot of campgrounds that do church services on Sundays. Now, you might go there to play, but they do services, and there'll be somebody out there like me that's called a resort minister. So that's kind of where my start was. So I want to thank y'all for that.
Well, what can I say? I have been a member of this church all my life. I remember the little Sunday school room that was across by the church, and I had Gladys DeLoach and Francis Rackley, Catherine Olive, Pris Olive, and Marvin Peed. My grandmother and father were both in the choir, and if you go into the sanctuary, there's on the wall a plaque that's got the nave pew, and in there it says, given in honor of Miss Fannie Mae Smith by her parent, by her children and best friends. And I have been in the choir for, I don't know, 40 years. So I've gone through some super people like Martha Wells and Chuck Zettler and Johnny Hathcock and of course Pierce Dickens and now Jackson Burgess. So, and what I like about the church is y'all. Just good people to be around. And thank you.